What if the secret to explosive plant growth had nothing to do with expensive bottles from the garden center and everything to do with what's already sitting in your kitchen? I'm talking about fermented rice water. It's an ancient trick that turns a simple byproduct of cooking into a probiotic powerhouse for your soil. Farmers have been doing this for centuries. Most people today have never heard of it, and I'm going to show you exactly how to make it, how to use it, and why it actually works. And stick around, because after the basic recipe, I'm going to show you a companion technique using plants you probably already have, growing in your backyard. Use them together, and your garden will not look the same. So what is this stuff? What we're actually making is a living culture of beneficial microorganisms, specifically lactic acid bacteria, or LAB. These are the same type of bacteria that ferment yogurt and kimchi. We're just getting them to take up residence in your soil, instead of a jar in your fridge. This isn't some new wellness trend. For centuries, farmers across Korea and Japan understood that healthy soil was the real foundation of a healthy plant. Using rice, wash water wasn't about being frugal. It was a genuine understanding of soil biology that got passed down through generations. Then, in the mid-20th century, the Green Revolution came along. The world shifted to synthetic chemical fertilizers that promised massive yields, and they delivered for a while. But the long-term cost was soil that got progressively more sterile and dependent on expensive inputs to produce anything at all. In the 1960s, a Korean farmer named Cho Han-kyu dedicated his life to recovering and systematizing what the old farmers knew. He studied ancient agricultural texts, observed nature, and built what we now call Korean natural farming. Around one central idea: stop feeding the plant and start cultivating the life that feeds the plant. When you make this stuff, you're plugging back into something that worked for a very long time before someone figured out how to sell us a substitute. Here is the clearest way I can explain why it works. Synthetic fertilizer is basically an energy drink for your plants. Fast hit of nutrients, no lasting benefit to the soil. What we're doing is more like giving the soil a probiotic. Just like beneficial bacteria build a healthy gut, LAB builds a functioning ecosystem in your root zone. We're not just giving the plant a boost. We're upgrading what the soil can do on its own. The bacteria do three specific things. First, they break down complex organic matter in the soil and unlock nutrients: nitrogen, phosphorus, things your plants need but can't always access without help. Second, they produce natural compounds that stimulate root development. More roots means the plant can pull in more water and more nutrients on its own. Third, they create a slightly acidic environment around the root zone where a lot of harmful pathogens simply can't survive. They crowd out the troublemakers before problems even start. You're literally building a protective ecosystem around your plants that works around the clock without any additional input from you. That is a fundamentally different approach than what most people are doing in their gardens. Now here's how to actually make it. Two methods, a simple one and a more powerful one. Method one is the rice wash ferment, and it is as basic as it gets. You need uncooked rice, non-chlorinated water, and a glass jar. The chlorine thing matters. Chlorinated tap water will kill the bacteria you're trying to grow. Use rainwater, filtered water, or tap water that's been sitting out uncovered for 24 hours. Put about a cup of rice in a bowl with 4 cups of water. Wash the rice vigorously with your hands for about a minute. You're scrubbing starch off the surface and the water will turn milky white. That starchy water is what we want. It's food for the bacteria. Strain that cloudy liquid into your glass jar. You can go ahead and cook the rice for dinner. Cover the jar with something breathable: a coffee filter, cheesecloth, a piece of fabric held on with a rubber band. Do not seal it tight. Fermentation produces gas, and a sealed jar will build pressure you don't want. Leave it somewhere cool and dark for 5 to 7 days. It will separate a little and develop a faintly sour, tangy smell, somewhere between rice and yogurt. That smell means it's working. Method 2 takes it further and gives you something more concentrated and shelf-stable. This is straight out of Korean natural farming. Take your finished rice water from Method 1 and strain out any solids. Then mix it with whole milk. 1 part rice water to 10 parts milk. Whole milk that hasn't been ultra-pasteurized works best. Cover loosely again and leave it in a dark spot for about a week. The milk will separate into solid white curds floating on top and a clear yellowish liquid sitting below. That yellow liquid is what you're after. It's a concentrated lab serum. Skim the curds off. They make a great compost activator, and keep the liquid. Refrigerated, it lasts for months. At room temperature, preserve it by mixing with an equal amount of brown sugar or molasses. Bonus round, and this one is worth staying for. The perfect companion to LAB is something called fermented plant juice, or FPJ. While LAB builds the soil ecosystem, FPJ delivers a concentrated hit of nutrients and enzymes directly from plant material. Together, they work on 2 fronts simultaneously. You need 2 things: brown sugar and vigorous plant growth. Comfrey, stinging nettle, young dandelion shoots, fast-growing weeds, anything actively growing and full of life energy. The best time to harvest is just before sunrise, when the plant's nutrient concentration is highest. And don't wash them. The surface of the leaves is covered in native yeasts and microbes that are part of what we're fermenting. Chop the plant material roughly and weigh it. Mix it with an equal weight of brown sugar, massaging the sugar into the leaves to start breaking down the cell walls. Pack the mixture into a jar with some headspace, cover with a breathable cloth, and leave it somewhere cool and dark for about a week. A dark, fragrant liquid will collect at the bottom. Strain out the solids for your compost pile. What's left in the jar is your FPJ, dense in minerals and enzymes that feed both your plants and the bacteria you just grew in your lab serum. How to use them. The key word is dilution. Both of these are concentrated, and using them straight will do more harm than good. For the LAB milk serum and the FPJ, dilute at a ratio of 1 to 500 to 1 to 1,000. In practical terms, that means 1 to 2 tablespoons per gallon of water. For the simpler rice wash ferment, you can be more generous. Roughly 1 part ferment to 20 parts water. You can mix your diluted LAB and FPJ together in the same watering can. 2 application methods: as a soil drench, water around the base of your plants as you normally would and get those microbes directly to the root zone. This is the most effective method and where most of the benefit happens. As a foliar spray, mist the diluted mixture onto the leaves to help suppress surface diseases like powdery mildew by not leaving any space for the bad bacteria to establish. Aim for roughly once a week to build and maintain a healthy dominant population. What you'll actually see. The first changes show up in the leaves: deeper green, stronger stems, more flowers on fruiting plants. But the most significant changes are underground and take longer to become visible. You are building soil structure. Microbial activity improves aeration and water retention. The soil becomes less compacted over time. And during stress periods, a heat wave, a drought, the difference between living soil and depleted soil becomes obvious very quickly. This is not magic, and I want to be clear about that. It is building the conditions that allow your plants to do what they were already capable of doing, without the obstacles that depleted soil creates. A few things that will ruin your batch if you skip them. Chlorinated water kills the bacteria. Do not use it. Do not seal the jar. Gas needs to escape, and a sealed jar under fermentation pressure is not a good situation. If it smells genuinely bad, not tangy and sour, but actually rotten and foul, toss it and start again. A healthy ferment smells alive and slightly acidic. Do not overdo it with potted plants, where the ecosystem is small and the balance tips quickly. And one important thing, this is not a complete fertilizer. It unlocks what is already in your soil and amplifies it, but it cannot create nutrients from nothing. Use it alongside good quality compost, and the two work together in a way neither does alone. You started today making fertilizer from kitchen water and backyard weeds. What you're actually building is something that professional organic farmers pay a lot of money to replicate with commercial inputs. A functioning microbial ecosystem in your soil that maintains itself, protects your plants, and gets more effective over time rather than less. Start with the rice wash. 1 cup of rice, 4 cups of water, a jar, a cloth, 5 days. That's the whole entry point. Everything else grows from there. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.